slavery, sexism, ableism, female infanticide. KGF was rife with things I could pluck out and feature as the focal point for the intro to my video, but I think it's important that I shine a light on the film's biggest issue of all, especially when it's one so rarely talked about in the media. Despite being instrumental in the development of the utilities that allowed the Kola region to grow and flourish, the British were completely ignored in KGF's revisionist version of its history, and while I'm not easily offended by misrepresentation in media, it's definitely a slippery slope to go down in terms of both creating a false sense of history, and it's insulting to the humble, generous people of the British Empire. But I don't want to spend all my video talking about one of the many injustices my people face. Let's actually get into the movie itself. I've never actually had to stop a movie midway through before, but the migraine-inducing barrage of KGF battered me into needing some pain relief before I could continue for a second half of its prolonged 155-minute runtime. From the get-go, this film had more cuts than a high school girl with body issues, with shakily edited scenes slapped together like some kind of frantic amalgamation of Crank and The Bourne Identity, fused together by an editor high on a mountain of cocaine. It plays out like a trailer for itself, usually with some character monologuing over the top of it, either acting as the hype man for Rocky or building anticipation for the film's next action scene. But I guess that's where KGF actually delivers. Mostly. The fights all have these fantastic, bone-crunching, overpowered moves I love to see, and they're satisfyingly brutal, with all kinds of vicious weaponry being used, alongside the bare-handed scuddings Rocky delivers throughout. But unfortunately some of the thrill is taken away by the camera cutting to more angles than an episode of Monday Night Raw, and I don't know if it's just me, but I couldn't get away with the one normal character having superhuman abilities in this gritty gangster film, the same way I could with Bahubali or even RRR. I'm English, so obviously I'm a monolingual pleb, and had to resort to subtitles to understand the plot of the film. And I don't know for sure if something was just lost in translation, but the dialogue doesn't feel off in the same way as some other films I've seen, or even when compared to a poorly translated video game. Nah, some of the dialogue in KGF comes across as though the writer has never had, or even heard, an actual human conversation before, and the lines delivered in English reinforce that idea, even if they are sometimes unintendedly hilarious.
I will coming soon, huh?
But I guess that's enough shit talking about the film. On a positive note, I'll admit that Yash just oozes star quality and effortlessly dominates every scene he's in with his natural charisma. Plus I'm incredibly jealous of his fabulous hair, especially since when mine grows in, I just look like Kevin Keegan. And for those of us not into hunky boys, Serenity Shreddy is pretty easy on the eyes too, even if her character adds nothing to the story, and I don't really get how she went from hating Rocky to crying when she thought he was dead, despite him coming across as a pompous asshole in most of his scenes with her. Again, I guess it's purely down to his attractiveness, in the same way Bahubali seduced his lady friend. The second half of the film, in the mains, is much better than the first, in my humble opinion. The set is fantastically designed and appropriately dreary for a slave camp, and the atmosphere there is captured brilliantly, aside from a couple of actors overselling it a bit too much. And although I can't recall a single god's name, they're all portrayed as irredeemable pieces of shit, so it was pretty satisfying watching them being taken out, especially when it turned into a horror movie for them. Overall, I wouldn't choose to watch this film again, and I can't really recommend it, but there's a part of me that just can't stand leaving a story half finished, so I'm going to suffer my way through part 2 soon. At least it can't be any worse, right? As always, cheers for watching, and feel free to tell me why I'm wrong about the movie in the comments. See you later. Ta-ra.